Yes, yes.
Please.
There is another question. Usually some Arabs give certain signs of the Imam Mahdi. For instance, his name, his origin from among the Prophet's progeny, being from Arabia. Are these the principal signs for the Imam Mahdi? If not, what are the real signs for the advent of Al-Mahdi?
You see, what are signs? Those who distinguish between one thing and another, or those who confuse things. First, this is what should be understood. If there is a sign, so-called sign, instead of leading you from darkness to truth, it leaves you halfway where you don't know whether it is darkness or truth. Then what is the purpose of that sign? Now, these scholars, I call them medievalists. They do not go all the way back to Hazrat Rasul Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and understand his prophecies in the light of the wisest of prophets, who spoke like Jesus Christ, sometimes in parables, sometimes in metaphors, but stop midway and look at the scholars born during the politicization of Islam in that period, who were very harsh in their attitude, very, sword-minded, trigger-happy people. So they understood Islam with reference to whatever they knew of that age. And the mullahs of today, I don't understand their attitude. Instead of going all the way back to Surah Al-Karim and the Quran and trying to infer sensible, acceptable meaning with reference to this age, they turn halfway and stop there and say, Mullah said this, Mullah said that, and that Imam said this and that Imam said that. As he understood, he must have been right. And they destroy the whole thing with reference to the Quran and the Hadith, and they lose the meaning. Now, during that period, many traditions were in rotation. And those traditions, as I understand, if they contradicted each other, they could not be all true. If they apparently contradicted each other and you delve deeper into them, you could have found some system of reconciliation and compromise. But they did not bother about it. These ulama of that age period, they accepted everything verbatim, word for word, exactly as it is. And they didn't bother to consider that this will create problems, contradictions attributed to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And they didn't bother to see that these things can happen accidentally as well. How could you believe an imam to be from God if his name was Muhammad, if his mother's name was Amna, if his father's name was Abdullah, and he belonged to the progeny of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if he happened to claim to be Imam Mahdi? This is the question. If these are really signs which do not confuse things, then there was exactly such an Imam born in Yemen. Why have you rejected him? Why don't you believe in him? Was it Yemen or no, Sudan? Sudan. The Mahdi of Sudan fulfilled these requirements. And unfortunately, he met with disaster ultimately and is become a part of history. So the question is, this is not only the one person, there are others who happen to have fulfilled these criteria. There is one Maulana Muhammad Jaunpuri of India. He also happened to fulfill this criteria. So if these traditions really speak of distinctive signs, then all Muslims who insist on these traditions must believe first on them. Forget about the Mahdi or the Qadian. But before that, these things have already been fulfilled. Why do they reject them? So when they have rejected the sign, why do they demand this sign from us? The sign which they have already rejected? Now you see the argument.
يقول أمير المؤمنين أن العلماء ما هي الآية أو ما هي العلامة؟ هل هي شيء ليعرف الإنسان عنده الطريق، أم هي شيء يقف عنده ويتحير ولا يعرف إلى أين يذهب؟ هؤلاء العلماء من الذي يسميهم علماء القرون الوسطى كانوا ذوي عقليات جامدة متحجرة تميل إلى السيف، قبلوا بكل الأحاديث ما تعارض منها وما توافق وكتبوها كما هي وأخذوا بها كما هي، وهذا شيء عجيب. الآن علماء هذه الأيام بدلا من أن يعودوا إلى النبع الصافي إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وإلى نظمه، إذا بهم يقفون عند آراء هؤلاء العلماء ويتمسكون بها رغم أنها تحيرهم وتضللهم. إذا كانت الأسماء اسم الأب واسم الأم والكنية ومثل هذه الأشياء من الأدلة أو من العلامات الراسخة التي تبين الإمام المهدي، فقد ظهر كثير من الأشخاص يحملون هذا الاسم محمد وعبد الله وأمه آمنة وينتمي إلى البيت مثل المهدي السوداني وغيره من الناس. فلماذا لم يؤمنوا بهم؟ لو كانوا فعلا يجدوا في هذه الأوصاف علامات يقينية على صدق المهدي لكان من الواجب أن يؤمنوا بهؤلاء الأشخاص. صحيح أنهم قد هلكوا ولم يوفقوا في أي عمل من الأعمال التي يجب أن يقوم بها الإمام المهدي، ولكن هذه الصفات كانت متوفرة فيهم، فكيف يطالبوننا بأن تتوفر فينا هذه الشروط التي لم يؤمنوا بها هم في غيرنا؟
Another example of the same, a few years ago in Mecca, a party of armed men under leadership fulfilled all the requirements of one of the ahadith about the Mahdi. He would make khuruj from here, then he will go and stand by the wall of the Mecca of Khana Kaaba and announce his Mahdiyyat from there, and all these things were fulfilled